Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where we break down all the goals scored in the Premier League. Fighting off my cold, here we are breaking down Liverpool against Everton, and there's lots to talk about here, even though there's not many goals. It's so interesting as well. I don't make this point enough about how much home crowds impact teams, and the fact that Everton are losing Goodison Park and they're going to struggle going to a generic stadium with generic. It's awful. I mean, they really are going to struggle. But we're going to talk about first off this impact here. Now, time I woke up, because I didn't record this last night, I did it a day after. And the PGMOL have already come out and said that this should be a red card. Now, you've got to ask yourself, if the PGMOL have come out and said, yeah, this should be a red card, and it went to VAR and they said no, and the referee said no, you've got to wonder that nobody knows what they're doing. And this can't be a point of, it's just poor refereeing or poor mandating. You can't have a referee saying one thing, VAR saying agreeing with him, and then the PGMOL come out and go, no. Who's that guy for Arsenal, red card that wasn't a red card, when you had the referee saying it was, VAR saying it wasn't, and then the PGMOL saying it wasn't, and everybody else knew that it wasn't. And then we've got the opposite example where this should be, everybody knows it should be, and they're saying, on the field and with VAR, it's not. You can't have this level of incompetence and complete and utter inconsistencies without something else nefarious going on. And I honestly believe it is. There's so many decisions that's going completely and utterly just wrong. It can't just be human error at this point. It just can't. But let's look at this challenge as well. We're going to look at the close-up and show why it's actually a red card and not just a challenge. Here we go. Bump. A hideous challenge right there. I also want you to look at what a scumbag this person is here, Jordan Pickford, because he's laughing the whole time. He also took out Darwin Núñez the similar way that he took out Virgil van Dijk a couple of years ago for Liverpool. Liverpool fans probably remember that. But when some players hurt on the ground and you're laughing, this little bit here doesn't do it justice. He's laughing all the way coming up towards the referee. Just a horrible human being. So you hear things in football like, he's got the football. It doesn't matter. You don't be able to get the football and then do something like this and it not be a red card. You don't just get to win the football and then shoot someone. Like, but I got the ball, ref. It's all right. It doesn't matter that I shot him. No. There's things that you do after the ball, and you've got to watch his leg movement, right? So this is the important part. And this is what they'd be watching in VAR. As he contacts with the ball, then his leg, let's just move that over here. His leg is completely and utterly straight. The moment he's hit that ball, his leg needs to be pulling away from the challenge, and he's not. He's pushing into the challenge. He's pushing into the player. And anyone that's played at any level knows exactly what this is. He's looking to hurt him. That means there's intent. If you're looking to hurt the player, that's intent. He's raised his leg to do it. He's put his studs out. He's gone through. That should be a red card and probably a 5-match ban, not a 3-match ban, because of his intent to hurt the other player. Boomf, gone straight through. And he's lucky he hasn't snapped his ankle and put him out for a year. It's awful, awful challenge. Everton did have their opportunities in this game as well. And I'm going to point out the most overrated Premier League defender, Virgil van Dijk. People can't stand it when I say that he's overrated. And what I mean by he's overrated, I don't mean he's not a good player. I don't mean he's not a fantastic centre-back. I just think that people put him on this pedestal and think that he's much, much better than he actually is. And I'm going to show you a couple of... I've done it before, and I'm going to do it again in this game. A couple of highlights where he's watching the ball dropping over his shoulder. This should be simple for him. Just to head it back to the keeper. He can do anything he wants with it, and he doesn't. Look, he doesn't really turn on the jets. Do you see how he's watching it and he's kind of casual in his movements? And that happens a lot of the times when you get praise as being a good player. Those things that made you become a good player is because you didn't let simple things like this happen. And watch this as well. I think it's better he gets in behind him. Watch. Soon as he's on the wrong side of Van Dijk and Van Dijk can't challenge him, it doesn't matter how good the defender is, Van Dijk, because let's be fair, even though I think he's overrated, he's still one of the best defenders in the world. He's got no chance to try to win the ball back after this point. He's no way can he actually challenge for the ball without giving away a penalty, just because of the way that the striker has shielded the ball. He's in between the defender and he cannot get close to him. Watch, look, he cannot get close to him to make a challenge. There's nothing he can do. All because of that little simple movement. He's a little bit lazy, judging the ball because he's slow, walking backwards, where he could have just sprinted 2 yards, cleared that ball, no problem. And Everton probably should have got themselves a goal right there. Good old me not remembering what was going on. It was a goal, but it was offside. Yeah, let's look at. Yeah, clearly offside. Don't even need 2 seconds to look at it. Yeah, but again, Van Dijk's better than that. If he wants to be in this upper echelon of the Paolo Maldinis and the Baraces of the world, that shouldn't be happening to him over his shoulder from just a long ball out from the back. Okay, so this is there's a couple of points I'm going to be making from this clearance here, and it's the way, because this is the way that the goal ends up happening for Liverpool as well. If you're watching the way Everton are playing, they're not really playing football. All they're trying to do is knock the ball long to the big man, try to get a knockdown, and try to run in behind. It's a valid way of playing. It's okay. You'll get some points, but you're never going to build up a team that wins a championship or actually does anything in football. You might win a cup, but you're not really going to have a team that builds and builds and builds momentum that teams are frightened to play against. So if you watch here, when he receives the ball, he just takes a little bang and just knocks it, because that's his only option. There's nowhere to pass it into midfield. There's no one out wide to pass it to. The only options Everton have ever got is just to knock it up to the big man and hope that he can do something up front. And here's the difference. Konate ends up winning the header. And as much as I think Van Dijk is overrated and people overpraise and overhype him, I think they underpraise someone as Ibu Konate. I think he's absolutely fantastic, and he just doesn't get the praise that he really deserves. But this is where, when you're knocking these long balls forward and you're trying to get support, your player doesn't necessarily have to win the ball. All it has to be is put into the space by the other team, and then that creates problems. And if you look at Van Dijk's situation right now, he's almost in a 2v1 straight away. Look, you can see, here comes the ball, going to get played in behind, and then Van Dijk's, see, this is the difference. Now he's running, now he's trying, now he's off, look, boom, now he knows he's got to go, and away he goes. But this is the difference in quality that Everton don't have. That ball played from there should never have been there. It should have been in this zone here. So he could have stretched his legs, used that space differential there, and really put pressure on. Instead, it's here, and this is where his first touch is, and it slows him down to take a touch. Now, he ends up going on and hitting the post, but that's more down to Van Dijk not defending properly than the actual ball being in the right area and giving the opportunity for the striker to run onto. Let's have a little watch what I mean by here. Look, boom, there we go. See, his first touch isn't good enough. That is where Van Dijk needs to clear the ball. That is the touch that he needs to make, and that's all over. Outside of the left foot, you just dink the ball right here. Not sure who that is, but that's who you give the ball to. Boom. No, he decides to cry kick it with his right foot, completely mishit the ball, and he's supposed to be the best in the world, and that's where I go that he's overrated. Maldini doesn't make mistakes like that. Franco Baresi doesn't make mistakes like that. I'm talking, Pablo Nesta, the greats of centre-backs don't make mistakes like that. He's given you an opportunity to win the ball because of his poor touch, and now he's beaten you because of your poor defending and your poor ability, because you've just taken a big woofy hump at the ball instead of just poking it away from him and relaxing. And I think that's what happens sometimes with Van Dijk, when he gets in these fights, these physical battles and confrontations, when he starts to maybe lose one or two, he panics a bit, which he never used to. But there we go. Let's move it on. This is a strike. They should have scored here for Everton, but this comes down to quality as well. Doesn't have any. Should have just gone straight over the goalkeeper there. Easy finish for a Premier League striker. However, he doesn't choose to do that. Smashes the ball. You might as well have been Darwin. See, Darwin Núñez for Liverpool would have scored that. He would have just flicked it over the keeper and scored it. That's the sort of goal Núñez would have scored, because it's really difficult to beat the keeper over the edge. It's not really. It's really easy. That should have been just another little look at Van Dijk's whiff here. Look, woof. Just tries to hit the ball as hard as he can. Shock. This is the build-up for Liverpool's goal. As you can see, I think it's Ryan Gravenberch is playing the ball into the channel here. Centre-back is stretching to clear it, okay? Well, he's not even clearing it. He's just stopping the pass. This is important here. Watch this. Right, he's just stopping the pass. And because Everton don't really have any patterns of play except for just kick it down the field as hard as they can, this is the problem that they have when a team, I don't know if Slot actually consciously did this, steps their midfield line one further line up. So that's about 10 yards. You'd probably expect them to be about there, but they're not. They're 5 or 10 yards further forward. And that means any of these players now taking a touch need what's called, can't remember the name of it now. It's not a supporting pass. It's like a safety pass. I should pay more attention when I do my football qualifications, but I don't really care. the actual terminology and the name for it in the world, it's like a safety pass. You always guaranteed to go to your left or your right back, so you can start your pattern to play, right? But they don't. So when the centre midfielder here receives the ball, he can't knock it down the field. What he's trying to do is turn it and then knock it down the field, instead of trying to play the ball to the person that he's facing, which is right there, and he can play it away. But they can't do that because they don't really have a settled system in play other than just knock it down to the big man. And that's where they lose the ball. Bump, and Liverpool are off. And they've got a bit of talent up front, and you don't want to be losing the ball on the 18-yard line. And all of a sudden now, Liverpool are in. And you can't defend when you've just broken that little bit down there. And then you're like, look at this guy. We should also be noting someone's got their arm up, so we know a goal's going to get scored in the next 5 seconds. Now it's just tight, intricate play. Beats his man, does really well there, Jota. But this is also a bit of poor goalkeeping, because I know that he's going to go to this corner here. I know he's going to fake it to that corner there before he's even taken his next step. Look, bump, there he goes. Pushed him away a little bit. Now it's even more obvious where he's going to go. But the keeper, for some reason, thinks he's going this side. I don't know if Jota's looking at him in the eyes when he does him, but the bump puts it straight back onto the other side. Easy goal for Liverpool. Maybe they should have scored 1 or 2 more, but this was just an awful battle. Everton are one of those teams that you don't really want to play just because they've got no intentions of playing the game anymore. They're just sort of trying to hurt you. And that goes down to, as well, Jordan Pickford at the end trying to take out Darwin Núñez. Terrible human being, Jordan Pickford. Terrible. But other than that, I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.